What are we up to right now? 19?
I think so.
No,
Yes.
19. 19.
19.
Do you know that song or no?
19 to me just means this is my 19th wedding anniversary coming up next month.
Oh, you've been married longer than me.
Yes, I have. And
Wow.
I was 19 when I met my husband.
Wow. Talk about robbing the
So
cradle.
that's what 19 means to me.
Nah, the song
We joke.
19.
He was 25 when we met, and so that wasn't too bad. I was almost done with school, and earlier would have been a problem, but
I was singing the song 19 by Paul Hardcastle, which was a 80s retro song way back in the day.
yeah.
Probably when I was, I don't know, third grade or something like that, whatever it
Mm.
was.
I know you are older than me.
Wow. Creating Connections Podcast, episode 19. Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor with Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni.
You said it this time.
Why did I do that?
Because you're learning and growing and stretching yourself.
Yes, that's what it's called. We do that occasionally.
Well, that's part of our topic for today, continuing
Yeah,
education.
exactly. Speaking of speaking and learning and growing, housekeeping. You want to pick up the phone? This is what happens. We're live and just going without a net, and Vickie gets a phone call. And of course, any phone call is more important than watching and being a part of Creating Connections podcast.
I'm back.
So yes, that's actually part of our topic today is continuing education.
Yes, I just signed up for the workshop with Randy Bartlett that I believe
Yay!
is the one you just went to with your staff.
Yes.
Yes.
We went to the Advanced Mic Skills workshop that Randy held in Chicago here just a couple weeks ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and had a great experience. It was absolutely something I think that is very important is to take your staff, take your talent to workshops to develop it. When it's just myself and I'm the owner of the company and I go and learn this information, now I come back and try to disseminate it to my staff, it's watered down. And
it's different. The experience is different.
Well, it's like the game of telephone. You know, you heard this from
Mm-hmm.
this person, the guy again, I hear from that person, and then, at that point, it doesn't really work very well because the fact that the information changes from point A to point Z or whatever it is.
Well, and as a presenter too, the material it's more than just material. It's who's presenting it, how it's presented, and especially in an interactive workshop like that, you can't give the same critiques that Randy can because you're not Randy.
Right.
And he's going to see things differently because he doesn't see these people on a regular basis like you do.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're going to respond to him differently because he's not their boss.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got all those different variables in there.
I was extremely proud of my staff to see, and we had 3 different levels of talent in the company at that point attend the workshop. We had a woman who literally had never done any sort of training like this whatsoever, totally jump in and do it. And then we had a guy who is going to be doing his very first Master of Ceremonies event for us on his own in about a month from now. And then we had Allison, who is my rock star in the company right now. And she was doing her very first event literally the Saturday after the workshop. Yeah. And she went out and nailed it. And my other MC, Simon, he got critique. And Kayleen got up and actually tried to do it in front of people and got through it, which was awesome. And so
and it's intimidating. It is, especially for a newbie. And I went to my first workshop with you last summer at Marbecca, and I had done exactly 3 weddings as an MC before that workshop. And to be sitting across the table, besides having Mark and Rebecca there, like if that wasn't enough pressure to have you right across the table and Dave Tournier and Robert Custers. I mean, yeah, it's intimidating.
That was a very different workshop that we were a part of.
Yes,
That was
yes.
because you had some amazing talent in that workshop, yourself included. Don't downplay it. You did great because you've got previous experiences that parlay into what you're doing now, and Stacy Nichols as well. But I
Yeah.
think that the biggest thing that people get confused, and this is something that someone literally just gave me, um, and I meant to cover it. I said I'd cover it on a podcast, so we're going to cover it right
Okay,
now.
let's cover
Uh,
it.
they're like, well, what's the difference between me just picking up and reading Gitomer's books and doing that way and getting the knowledge versus a workshop? And I'm like, okay, fair question. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a huge difference because
Yeah.
you're allowing myself, who is someone who has been trained by Jeffrey himself personally, to take the information that Jeffrey has and now adapt it to the event industry and what you do on a regular basis. So I
Mm-hmm.
know the ins and outs of what you do, and I know the ins and outs of the information that Jeffrey teaches so that we're able to better hone it to your benefit as an attendee.
Well, plus, no matter how engaging a book is, it's not interactive. You don't have that other person, the author, the trainer is not sitting
Right.
across the room from you,
Right.
giving you specific, relevant feedback. And that makes all the difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
the coaching aspect is what's completely missing as well, and that's
yeah.
100% necessary to make this happen, or to have an effect on what you want to create at a workshop. And seminars are completely different from a workshop. That's the other thing I think a lot of people get confused on. Like, oh, I do training.
Yeah.
I go to Mobile Beat. I go to Las Vegas DJ Show. I go to ARM DJs. I go to all these disc jockey news conclave. I go to Atlantic City. All these different things. It's not the same.
And those are good. They're
Oh,
good
yes.
and they're important and they have their purpose.
Absolutely. They are important. They have their purpose. But a
It's
seminar, you listen to the talking head at the front of the room and you're hopefully jotting down one or two things you'll get out of it to apply.
Yeah.
Versus a workshop where
and if you're lucky, then depending on the show, you might get to meet some of those presenters and talk for a few minutes after the seminar or what have you, but not the same.
That's what I love about an experience like ARM DJs, which I know a lot of people just had a great experience at.
I felt so left out. That whole week was just rough. Like, my Facebook feed was just blowing up with post after post, but I bought my tickets for next year. We're already signed up. Booked my hotel. We're in.
And what I love about the Wedding and Event Professionals cruise upcoming
yes,
is that,
same thing.
Yeah, you get to hang with the presenters like all week and learn and chat and break bread. And that to me is worth a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and it's only been, I think, in the recent years, the trend of adding the optional workshop experiences to the shows is really the best of both worlds. Because you get the energy that comes from being in a room and sitting there with 500 or more, colleagues and hearing the big presentations and the seminars and the keynotes. And then you have the networking opportunity and you can, go see a show or go out to eat afterwards and hang out. But then you also have the option to sign up for a workshop on a certain afternoon or the night before or the day after or whatever. And that's what I know you're doing one on Tuesday afternoon, I believe.
Yeah, Tuesday afternoon, September 1st.
At the Las Vegas DJ Show?
Yeah, Little Black Book of Connections workshop. Just a half-day workshop, but we're going to give you specific skills on how to develop your own personal 30-second commercial. We're going to teach you the benefits of net weaving and how to, again, that's why it really ties into the podcast really well.
I love that word.
How to truly connect.
Yeah.
And there's different things that we walk through in the 6.5 principles of Little Black Book of Connections that I think are crucial to the mobile DJ world and that are necessary for developing your sales and marketing and taking it to the next level. And I'm excited. I'm excited to deliver this.
I'm excited too. And I did tell you I'm not taking it in Las Vegas because Craig and I are going to take it together when we're on the cruise
I think
in
it's
November.
awesome.
So, and that goes back to what we talked about in the opening that, and I was thinking about this before, but then we go on so many different tangents about you talking about taking your whole staff.
Yeah.
Even those of us that don't have a big staff of talent that we can take, as someone who started going to shows long before my husband, because I was speaking at them before
Right.
we got into doing entertainment ourselves, it is very different because I would come home from these shows or even the workshop just so excited with all this energy and information, and I want to try this, and I met this person, and I've got friends all over the world now that that do what we do, and he's just like, okay, yeah, now what?
Right.
Like he didn't have the same experience, and there is a different dynamic too, especially when you're working with your spouse. But when he came with me to the Arms DJ show last year,
Yeah.
that was just really huge, and I think in a lot of ways it kind of parallels the analogy that you said about you taking your staff and how you got to experience that together for us as a couple. So if even if your spouse doesn't work directly with you, if you can take them to a show sometimes so they can experience that alongside you, it will it will have a big impact.
Right, because there's nothing.
And we're both going back to Arms next year.
There's nothing more that a female wants to do except to go to a sausage fest. That's my friend Lee Hayes and his wife. That's why she never goes to the conferences. My wife doesn't go because it's a bunch of dudes hanging out talking about DJ stuff. What do we want to go for?
That's why I think the Arms DJ show was the perfect show for me to bring Craig to.
Right.
Because there were so many more couples at that show.
But if your spouse is working in the business, then yes, I would definitely agree.
Go. Yes. For sure.
Absolutely. So I had something happen yesterday, ironically enough.
Okay, good.
That I thought was the perfect split image of two different things going on. I went to a local shoe store, sporting goods store, and trying to be, yeah.
Okay.
So I went there to get stuff for my kids, and I asked where the boys' cleats were, like soccer cleats, and the lady goes, "Oh, over there." And that's all I got.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So I had to go back and ask again. I said, can you tell me, do you have any 7.5s and where are they? And then she just pulled out 2 and dropped them, and I'm like, oh, this what? Why am I giving you money for this kind of service?
Did you leave?
So here's what happened. We bought the shoes, right? Because there were only 7.5s that they had. And we're like, okay, he needs it for tomorrow. What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Bought the shoes, walked a little bit of the mall that we have left in Escanaba, which isn't very much, but there was a brand new shoe store that just opened up in the mall. Like literally a week ago, whatever it was. So
Nice.
I'm like, hey, let's just stop in. Let's see. We're going to go to the other department store, see if they had them. But we're like, let's just stop in here, see if they got them. Might as well. We stop in. The girl's like, really helpful. Couldn't find the shoes we wanted at first. We said, okay, no problem. We'll leave. So we left. And as we're literally walking out the door, she stops us and goes, hey, I found some over here. New store, trying to still get adjusted to the layout. Sorry. And, long story short, we buy the shoes.
Nice.
She was great and took care of us from a standpoint of, here are the socks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, these shoes come with customizable laces. There's several different colors of laces in the box. So you can choose what color you want to be on any given day. I knew you'd like that.
I love that. If I wore shoes with laces, that would be important to me.
Right. So it was awesome. And I think that it's an example of 2 separate businesses. One, that's the only game in town that gets really complacent in regards to what's happening and what we're doing, And then you got another one that is a brand new upstart, that's ready to rock and roll and be in the business for the long haul, but yet they're trying to get their name out there. And I think it's very important for us as business owners to always stay hungry and to never forget where we came from and to always keep customer service in the forefront of our mind.
Very true.
To me, that was the lesson from yesterday. And I commended the female worker that helped us. She was awesome. I told her, I said, you did a great job. I just had this experience as well. I walked into a fast food chain to get drinks, and I asked for lemonade, and it
Oh,
said,
I thought you meant drinks. I'm like, they serve drinks at your fast food
no,
places?
no,
I should move to Michigan. No,
right? A Thrillist did say that Michigan and Maine, ironically enough, were the number one, number two states to live in. I think just recently.
I did see that.
You did see it, yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. My two states, my home state and my
Mm-hmm.
home away from home state. So anyway,
Sorry. Fast food drinks.
yeah.
Sorry,
So the lady at the counter was the crew manager or whatever, right? And I asked for lemonade, and she goes, "Oh, we don't have lemonade." And the little girl behind her, I say little girl, she's probably 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's behind her, and she goes, "Hi, yeah, we have lemonade. We have frozen lemonade. We have strawberry lemonade, and we have just regular lemonade. Which would you like?" And I'm thinking, and I even said this. This is how ballsy I am. I looked at the crew manager and I said, "I think she should be the crew manager."
Nice. Good for you.
I just did it because, again, she had customer service at the forefront.
Yeah.
Versus just, well, we don't have regular lemonade, because she's thinking, she didn't think about promoting their summer style lemonade. She was just looking at the regular lemonade they no longer carry because the new summer style is in.
But I mean, that makes so much sense because she's providing you a solution, which is what we always talk about, and she's offering you options.
Yes, sales is solutions.
Yes.
Yeah, which I absolutely loved. So again, I think if you always stay hungry from a standpoint of trying to deliver great customer service to your clients, and even if you had a negative experience, right? If you got to think that, okay, that person that walked through that door or is now calling you on the phone, they don't know that you just got shit on by the last two people.
The previous,
They don't know that. So every time
it
has to be that blank, clean slate.
Well, and honestly, it's even more important, I feel, in an industry like ours, because, I mean, you may never interact, even if you go to that fast food restaurant again, you may never happen to interact with that same person. You know what I mean?
Ironically enough, I did the next day.
Yeah. Okay, then we have other issues. They're too much if you're on a first name basis with your fast food place workers.
I happen to be in the same neighborhood. I
know. But in our case, I mean, we're working with someone over a period of months and sometimes years.
Yeah.
So it's everything you experience in those little examples that you just shared, I think is just magnified in the world of weddings.
It is.
Because the decisions are bigger. I mean, obviously, what kind of lemonade you get versus what kind of entertainment you hire. So the experience is just, it's just, everything is bigger about it.
And not to mention that it can have a dramatic effect on future decisions, because do you have a great relationship with that photographer? Yep. Do you not have a great relationship with that venue? And you got to look at that. And maybe you have a great relationship or not for different choices that you're making as a business professional. That's okay. I'm not telling you have to have a great relationship with everybody. You try to get along with everybody, but you don't have to be, breaking bread and that kind of thing. But it's important.
You got to be polite and proper. And even in the weddings that we work with, there's times where you really click with your bride and groom, but maybe you don't like one of the parents. But you still be professional and courteous and, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else you want to chat about today?
I just have one quick little story.
Yeah, fire away.
My family went camping this last weekend, and and I'm really more of an indoor girl.
No.
Yeah. You'd be so proud of me if you saw this little bitty suitcase. I did not bring any shoes with me, but the ones I was wearing, I was really a trooper.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
no makeup. No. Yeah. I brought a comb. And I was just thinking, I mean, I put on my best face. And again, I wasn't feeling my best. I'm only 2.5 weeks out of surgery when we left for this camping trip. And so even if I don't like camping when I'm feeling great. It was a lot harder. But I love my kids. And for whatever reason, my kids love camping. And my daughter planned this whole trip. Like, she went online. Granted, she did it while I was, doped up on pain meds and booked it. But she researched sites that were nearby, and she found one that was close enough because she knows I'm not supposed to drive long distances yet. and she, picked a site that was like close enough to the restrooms, but not like too close where it would
Right.
smell bad, and made sure we had a water spigot. And it was close to a lake, and then yesterday I actually found this list. See this list?
Okay.
Okay, she typed this up, and it's got like the menu for the whole weekend, her shopping list, a packing list. I mean, my kids just worked so hard to make this trip happen. And I did it because I love them. I don't love being dirty. I don't love, bugs and smelling like sunscreen and sweat and just nastiness. But I did it for my children because I love them, and for my husband because I love him, and we just love being as a family. And I was thinking about the things that you do that you don't love. And it just made me think of little examples in my business. Like Craig happens to hate the song Celebration. Hates it. I don't know if it's just from being in this business too long and it's so overplayed. It doesn't bother me quite as much as it does him, but it's certainly not my favorite.
Right.
Well, a couple of his wedding we did recently, they picked that for their grand entrance song. They loved it and wanted it.
Who does that?
It worked for them. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it worked. But we just had to roll with it because we love our clients.
2015. It's not 85.
What?
It's 2015. It's not 85. I mean, come on.
They had other songs from the same era, though, that were around. Yeah, and it flowed nicely. I'll give them that. But again, and I've heard DJs say, "Oh, I hate games. I would never do games for my clients," or "I hate I hate the shoe game." You know what? Sometimes people want a certain thing, and you can guide and give your opinion, and but if they want what they want, then it's up to you to find a way to make it go off the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Camping's not my thing, but it was my job to just make sure that I didn't complain, that I didn't stress about stuff, and that I helped not bring any negativity to that trip. Right. And we have to do the same thing for our clients. Sometimes we're not going to agree with all of their choices. But if we have a relationship and we care about them and we care about the outcome of their event, there are times when we just have to do it. In fact, I saw a post on Facebook recently, and I wish I could remember who. Maybe you saw it, I don't know, where they talked about the chicken dance and how the grandfather, the patriarch of the family, loved the chicken dance. And so what could have been like a DJ's worst nightmare, like, you're kidding me right now, I'm not going to play the chicken dance.
Right.
He turned it into something wonderful, and it was like this tribute to the patriarch of the family, and everybody came out and did the chicken dance in Grandpa's honor, And so there's just, when you've got the mindset of serving your customer, providing solutions, showing love, you can take things that you would not normally hate and turn them into something great. Absolutely. So that was my little camping lesson.
Absolutely. Great lesson. Great lesson.
I do admit, though, when it started raining Saturday night and we packed it in and came home a night early, I was not sad.
They probably took pity on Mom.
I didn't jump for joy, and it wasn't even my call. I mean, I could hear the thunder and see the lightning getting closer and closer. And it started raining, and I just very calmly, once Craig said, "Yeah, we're going to leave after dinner," I just looked at the kids and I said, "Maybe you should go pack up your things in the tent before it starts raining any harder." And I was just really positive, and I did a good job. And I cooked Pop-Tarts on a campfire.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, my daughter was like frying bacon and making stuff for breakfast burritos.
Are you sure she's yours?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just
Pretty
kidding.
Sure.
I'm just kidding. This has been Creative Connections Podcast, episode 19. Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and
Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni. Thanks so much for joining us.
Come see us next time at Las Vegas DJ Show or on this same YouTube channel. See you then.
Bye.